pulled the upset that night. Huge underdogs again tonight here at Little John Coliseum, and we are set for basketball on a Friday night. And it's the Tigers in their home whites with the basketball first. Dylan Hunter at the point. Justin Porter, the transfer from Middle Tennessee State. R.J. Godfrey on the ring. Jake Wallin finds Porter. And the fifth starter, Nick Davison, inside, the transfer from Nevada. Here goes Hunter, the longest tenured Tiger, and he's got the first two of the night.
That's a good start. He's going to have to be aggressive for this team. And the backcourt has the question, so he needs to be the leader, the only returner, as you said.
Meanwhile, for the Runnin Bulldogs in their road black. Penetration on the first possession by Julius Clark. He was their lead scorer in Monday's loss at Minnesota with 13 points. He picks up the foul on Davison, his first. And Clark will head to the free throw line. So if the Runnin Bulldogs are going to win this game, even stay in this game, what do they have to do?
I think it's about the pace. I think they really got to get out in transition. It's obvious Clemson has the size advantage, but you see there, Clemson on offense, they try and work the angles. They try and hit the high-low with the bigs. Clark does a pretty good job of keeping Davison out of the post. And then on the other side, if Clark has the ball on the perimeter and Davison has to try and move his feet, he's got to attack that, put pressure on the defense.
And a correction on that foul. Dylan Hunter picks up the personal. After our officials, A.J. Desai, Sean Hall, and Connor Mooney conferred. Clark gets 1 out of 2.
Little 2-2-1 zone pressure.
Davison turns, faces. Wallin back outside Hunter, thought about it, turned down the three into the lane. Here's Davison. Still fighting, and on third attempt, able to put it in. A big new piece for the Tigers this year.
And he's going to do a lot of that, but I love the way he just put it back on the rim to give himself the opportunity for the putback.
Davison is every bit of 6'10", 235 pounds. Last 4 years in Reno, Nevada for the Wolfpack. Wallin got his hand down the pass, knocked out of bounds with 7 on the shot clock.
This is the big advantage Clemson is going to have. They have to dominate in the paint. And for Gardner-Webb, you got beat up -22 in the paint in your matchup against Minnesota. So everybody's seen that. They're going to have to get physical inside.
Good job by Gardner-Webb to save that possession. 1 second goes off the shot clock. So now on this inbounds, it'll be 6 on the timer. Now Gardner-Webb in a game like this, they've got 3 starters at 6'7" and 6'8", but they're still giving up size when you come to an ACC gym.
6'7", 180 is different than 6'10", 240, that's for sure.
Yep.
You've already seen a little different flavor on the defensive end for Brad Brownell. They're contesting every pass. They're trying to challenge everyone, really getting those deflections and hands up.
Let's take a look at what happened on that last out of bounds. Do we have some spillage of a beverage? Something. There it goes. Popcorn.
Might have been a little bit of everything down there. Time for a refill.
Well, Clemson comes off its win here in this building on Monday, 88-38 over New Hampshire. And so from that, you only allow 38 points. You'd figure, hey, defense is great, but Coach Brownell is not ready to anoint his team as a good defensive team just yet.
When you asked him that question early on, we were talking to him in the pregame. You asked him about his defense, if they could be a great defensive team, and his response, I hope so.
Yeah.
Still trying to figure some things out. Again, the philosophy and strategy on the defensive end, it's different than they've had in the past. With those veterans like P.J. Hall types that play 35 minutes a game, I don't think you're going to get near as much of that this year.
Nice job defensively there, yeah. Hunter with the takeaway. Here's Godfrey, handed off. Wallin gets downhill and lays it in. Well, head coach Jeremy Luther of the Runnin' Rebels has his own defensive issues as they give up a layup. Jeremy Luther is the longest tenured coach in the Big South Conference. Not as head coach, but this is his 13th year on staff at Gardner-Webb. 2nd year as the head coach. And so he knows his way around that conference that is led by High Point these days. High Point was the preseason favorite in the poll. Gardner-Webb down the list at 8. And while coaches, Luke, always poo-poo those preseason polls, in this day and age with so much roster turnover from year to year, it seems even less likely that the poll is going to play out. More often than not, you just don't know what you're going to have.
It still does seem to shape a narrative early on in every season. That's why we talked about with the ACC, you got to do your work early. You can't just show up when conference play starts and expect to be able to make that comeback with the rankings.
Well, coming into play tonight, ACC teams collectively are 22-1. Most of those victories have been by blowout, and that's by design.
And also, you give BC credit. They're the only one that went on the road early. FAU, not an easy team. They lost in overtime. The toughest matchup of them all.
The broad shoulders of R.J. Godfrey make it 8-1. Again, the Tigers defensively making it tough on Gardner-Webb, but we've got our second foul call.
Yeah, this is what they've been working on in the preseason, kind of getting ready for this zone defense, working the angles. That's what the Clemson bigs are always great at. And they can kind of defend it on one side. Maybe they front the post, but it's that quick ball reversal, snapping the passes, ball fakes that open up the other action on the other side.
As Hudson buries the first free throw, Dylan Hunter sits down with 2 personal fouls, and now we're going to get a sense of the younger backcourt players like Zach Foster who comes in. Coach Brownell really high on this young core of guards.
And he is a guy who just moves different. Incredibly high ceiling with this young man. Takes coaching well, and he does get coached. I mean, he's looking Brad Brownell in the eyes a lot because he's getting corrected, but I love the response from him.
And in his collegiate debut Monday, picked up a couple of early fouls. There's Foster kicking the ball inadvertently right to his teammate, gets it back. Godfrey puts it on the deck, left his feet. The defender stood his ground, and the whistle comes. It is a blocking foul. First personal on Julius Clark.
That's going to be a close one right there. And we heard Brad Brownell talk about executing passes playing off of 2 feet. Great look.
First points of the night not in the paint for Clemson. That's a triple from Justin Porter, the grad transfer from Houston, Texas. It's still early enough, first week of the regular season, that the freshmen, I've got to think there are butterflies. Do you remember your first games at George Mason, and how did you feel getting out there?
You're so excited just to get out there and play against somebody else. The preseason, especially when you get to college, feels like it lasts forever. But I'll be honest, I banked in my first 3 from straight away, so I was a little nervous myself.
Did you smile?
Oh, big time. It was laughing running back. You look at the bench.
With a traveling violation, let's give you a sense of some of the freshmen who Clemson is really relying on to grow and advance. Other than Blake Davison, who is redshirting, Foster, Thompson, and Steinauer could really impact the outcome of this season.
Yeah, you're probably a little bit more solid in the front court. Steinauer might be a little slower to get in the rotation, but I'll tell you what, Chase Thompson, wildly athletic, was a quarterback in high school. R.J. Godfrey calls him Mr. Minnesota. And then we've been talking about Zach Foster. He just moves different. He moves like a guy who's at the next level, an NBA guy.
That graphic doesn't include the 2 redshirt freshmen who sat out with injury last year. Off the bench, Carter Welling throws it down. We've shown you Ace Buckner, also Dallas Thomas, another guy just getting his feet wet as a redshirt freshman.
And I know Buckner came off the injury. That's partly why he redshirted. But you got 2 guys that are going to be culture builders that are freshmen that stuck around in Dallas Thomas and Ace Buckner. That is a huge tool for Brad Brownell.
Good fight by Jacob Hudson, the sophomore guard, to get the offensive glass. 10 seconds on the shot clock. Williams, the step back 3 with a hand in his face. The Bulldogs still looking for their first made bucket of the night. Runner off glass, no. Porter misfired. 6 different Clemson players already in the score column, less than 4 minutes in.
We talked about that depth. It's showing out early in this one. A couple ticky-tack fouls kind of getting back and forth there, but if I'm Welling, I stay aggressive. He is way more athletic than I think people give him credit for. One of the legends around here, Terrence Oglesby, is all over Mr. Welling. He is loving his game and think he can be a huge X factor for this team.
Welling gets whistled for his first personal. Well, in their opener, Gardner-Webb fell behind Minnesota 24-1. They've gotten off to another slow start here tonight without a made bucket. 4 minutes in. Spence Sims at the point, the transfer from Alabama. It's another turnover forced by this Clemson.
Again, using the angles. Clemson defensively has been great. They're getting the passes together on the other end, creating the easy ones.
Roster construction and roster management are as big a key to college basketball now as ever. With all the new faces, you've got to bring guys in from around the country and have them blend on the fly very quickly. That's what Clemson's trying to do here.
I think they've done a great job. You got to give credit to Lucas McKay. Does it by just kind of knowing everybody, knowing the right people to call, who you need to get in touch with to get close to a player. But just in terms of piecing this roster together, I really like the way things are fitting for these guys.
Lucas McKay, the general manager for this Clemson basketball program, such a big part in conjunction with Brad Brownell and his staff, scouting players, acquiring players. Off the bounce, the three-point try by Foster is off the mark, but we've got a foul on the rebound. Well, Dylan Hunter is the only player on this year's Clemson roster that played for Brad Brownell last year. There are a couple of familiar names, a couple of guys who redshirted last year, and then RJ Godfrey, who played his first 2 years here at Clemson, transferred to Georgia last year and has come back. Buckner off the bounce with his first two. But it's constantly in flux. You just don't know from year to year who's going to be on your roster.
And the thing with Clemson that they've had over the last few years is those continuity pieces. Again, I think it's a huge benefit. You got two redshirt freshmen that stuck around in today's transfer portal. You don't hear that very often, but the mix transfer portal players, young electric talent, and those holdover culture builders. That's how you piece together a roster that looks like this.
Well, that's not the fourth turnover forced by the Clemson defense, but it may as well be. End-to-end, the burst of speed by Foster, and the foul is called.
Talk about a tough shot maker right there. Maybe not the best shots on those last couple of possessions for Ace Buckner and Foster, but hey, right now it seems like the best offense might be put it on the rim. Let these bigs go get it.
2 fouls on Reek. That is R-I-E-K, R-I-E-K. Davison misses the first, and we're looking ahead at our men's basketball doubleheader for next Friday night. Cameron Boozer and 6th-ranked Duke host the Sycamores of Indiana State at 7 Eastern. And then Caleb Wilson and number 25 North Carolina host NC Central at the Smith Center. Both games are also available on the all-new ESPN app. And in our long conversation yesterday after practice with Ace Buckner, he told us that until his recruitment really took off and Clemson got involved, he was very much on his way to Indiana State.
For Josh Schertz, who's now at St. Louis, but it's amazing how these guys just wind up at certain schools. And obviously we know Ace Buckner's connection with Clemson. You would have thought it was a done deal, but not necessarily the case.
Sims puts it up, around and in. So it took nearly 5.5 minutes, but the former Alabama walk-on has the first basket of the night for Gardner-Webb. Now we have just had another delay of game called. One of the points of emphasis in college basketball this year, just a warning, but each side has been warned already early in this ball game.
I thought RJ's was a little unique because he caught the ball out of the rim and handed it to the guy trying to inbounds, and I thought he was helping.
Great extra pass to find Butta Johnson for 3.
With a name like Butta, you know he's going to be able to shoot it.
Yep. Former UAB Blazer, spent the last 3 years playing for Andy Kennedy down in Birmingham. Over 800 points at UAB, so he can put it up. Sims lost the dribble. Godfrey gets down on the floor. Clemson with a basketball up by 13. Buckner right to the rim. The uber confident redshirt freshman.
I got to tell you, the athleticism on both ends there. Moving your feet, the strength to just poke that ball away on the defensive end and then put your head down and get right to the bucket.
Well, Coach Brownell says Ace Buckner is the most competitive on the team. And those around the program say there's no one who works harder than Ace Buckner.
That's a good combination. It doesn't matter if you're bowling, playing pool. Says he hates to lose at everything.
Devon Peterson with the mid-range shot. Perhaps Gardner-Webb has settled into this game, but once again, it has dug itself a big hole. That's some good offense. Godfrey off the drive and dish from Chase Thompson.
That down screen right there that Chase Thompson can come off, get to his left hand, draw the defense, and then again, these bigs for Clemson, the way they can work the baseline, use those angles, and then the tough part, right, go up there and finish above the rim.
Jacob Hogarth, nice backdoor bounce pass. Sims brings it back out. Got the Clemson defense scrambling a bit. Got a good look at the rim. Back the other way, Zach Foster. Buckner looking for that shot. Hogarth lost the ball out of bounds. Good pressure after the rebound by Butta Johnson to get the basketball back.
Relentless with that pressure going after offensive rebounds, but one of the guys you cannot let shoot the basketball. We call these guys dead on catch guys. If he gets it going up, it's got a great chance of going in, Mr. Sims.
Alongside former Louisville Cardinal Luke Hancock, I'm Doug Sherman. Glad you're with us on this Friday night here in Clemson. Tigers looking to start the year 2-0. Another one of the pieces right there. Justin Porter buries the 3.
He hasn't had to move for either one of those. Got one on the inbounds, that one just spacing away.
Well, he was 1 for 3 on Monday from distance. Got the 2 early here tonight. He was a 35% shooter last year for Middle Tennessee State. Quick conversation. What do you make of that? What is Coach telling Ace Buckner II in that little get-together?
Well, if I'm seeing the matchup that Ace Buckner has with Sims, I'm saying it's all great if you shoot open jump shots, but it's time for you to use that athleticism, put your head down and get to the rim, play in transition a little bit more.
And Buckner called for his first foul. There's a strong drive and a lefty finish by DJ Jefferson, recruited out of Berkner High School in Texas by the Tennessee Volunteers. Porter tries to make it a triple, can't. Porter puts it on the deck, uses the screen from Welling. Well, he got the friendly bounce off the back iron.
As friendly as it gets, but he'll take it. I'll tell you what, DJ Jefferson for Gardner-Webb on that last drive and just the way he moves, you can tell why he was recruited to Tennessee. That is an athlete right there.
I heard during practice yesterday, the coaches telling Carter Welling, we want you to pick and roll, not pick and pop, but it worked pretty well that time. Off the air ball, we've got a timeout with 11:07 remaining first half here at Littlejohn.
Seven seconds. McIntyre working right side. Lofts it off to Jamison. Underneath, Buckner jams! Buckner jams! 0.6 seconds left. Tigers are on top, 75-73.
Do the split.
Seven seconds. McIntyre working right side. Lofts it off to Jamison. Underneath, Buckner jams! Buckner jams! 0.6 seconds left. Tigers are on top, 75-73.
The voice of the late, great Jim Phillips on the call nearly 30 years ago when that man's father had the buzzer-beating dunk in the ACC quarterfinals to take down North Carolina, an iconic moment in this program's history. Ace has tried to come and follow in his father's footsteps. Very different players, but Clemson basketball runs through the veins of the youngster.
Absolutely, and one thing I think is really impressive, Had to redshirt last year with that shoulder injury, but the way he rehabbed through that, his body certainly doesn't look like a freshman, and that guy just exudes confidence. You can tell he's coming in ready to go. Doesn't look like a freshman.
And he came to Clemson a couple of times as a kid with his father, but since his dad played 10 years in the NBA and now is still a coach for many years in the NBA, Ace was telling us yesterday he was not somebody who really followed Clemson closely on a game-to-game basis, more of an NBA guy, but you can tell it really means something to him to be here in the orange and white.
Without a doubt. You can understand the focus on the pro game with following dad, but he can be a legend just like Pops, that's for sure.
Traveling violation, another Gardner-Webb turnover. Let's show you Dad in his playing days 3 decades ago. And son, and I'm most struck by the fact that the T-shirts were a little bigger back in the mid-90s.
Greg Buckner doesn't seem like a guy who's super skinny and has to wear that big T-shirt. So
right.
I imagine they'd look a little more similar without all that.
6th turnover forced by Clemson. Porter, no.
I think Porter is going to have to find some balance with this Clemson group. Averaged 15 a game at Middle Tennessee last year. Yes, they want him to hunt shots, but within the offense. He can obviously really shoot it, but kind of picking and choosing your spots and how you incorporate yourself in this offense can be really important for Justin Porter.
Well, 2 years ago against UTEP, he put 41 points on the minors, so you know he can fill it up.
That's exactly right. Clemson's one of those teams that has a rhythm and a flow to their offense, so he's going to find his role. I don't know if he averaged 15 points a game in this type of offense, but can obviously do a lot of really good things for this team.
6 on the timer. Into the lane. Nice looking shot by Colin Hawkins, a sophomore from Colorado Springs.
One of the few returners for Gardner-Webb. One of those culture builders we've talked about. Battled some injuries last year, but coach said he was really coming on strong.
Foster takes the long range 3. Again, Clemson going deep into his bench. And it's starting senior point guard Dylan Hunter on the bench early with a couple of fouls. Foster tried to recover defensively, but picks up the foul.
We've talked about this, but Gardner-Webb, especially these guards, when they have the mismatch, they got to make some things happen. And then on the other end, Clemson, shot selection, judging by what I saw on Coach Brownell's face, not exactly what he's looking for from the freshman Zach Foster. You do a jab step 3 with no movement, you got to make those, and then you go to the other end, compound the problem, backdoor cut, and he fouls the shooter.
Well, Luke, here's our Week 11 ACC Network Saturday football lineup. At noon Eastern, fresh off their upset of then number 9 Miami, SMU takes on BC. Then we'll have a command center presentation of Syracuse and number 18 Miami with 4 different camera angles and real-time player and team stats. And then finally, there's a little football game to be played here in Clemson, right next door at Death Valley. You can see that right here on ACC Network. The Tigers and Florida State. Both teams looking for wins to get bowl eligible. And all 3 games, as always, available as well on the all-new ESPN app. Good ball movement by the veteran bigs of Clemson. We saw that to start the game. Those guys seem very comfortable in the half court.
Well, Coach Brownell spent a lot of time in walkthrough and practice yesterday working against that zone. Gardner-Webb brought it out against Minnesota. Wasn't sure how much we would see, but it's really tough to try and get the bigs for Gardner-Webb to defend RJ Godfrey when he has those angles down there on the block.
Nick Davison with the takeaway, looking to go end to end, and he gets the roll.
Nick Davison, really impressive young man, always in control on the court, absolutely a thinker out there.
He was a 3rd-team all-conference in the Mountain West. How do you see Nick Davison translating this year in the ACC?
Well, if you know about Brad Brownell and what he has done with bigs over the years, you know a guy like Nick Davison is going to fit in perfect. He does a little bit of everything, can shoot the basketball, facilitate the offense, still gets in there and mixes it up and rebounds. I think this is exactly the type of player Brad Brownell wants.
And Nick told us yesterday after practice it was part of why he chose to come to Clemson. He also likes the weather and the vibe here in the South. Triple off the fingertips of Ace Buckner. He's got 7. And I believe we may have a technical foul after the shot against number 21. We'll take a timeout and be back to Littlejohn right after this.
Welcome back to Littlejohn. Taking a look at all these new Tigers running Brad Brownell's zone offense to a T. The most important part of this zone offense is the catch at that free throw line. It puts Hogarth in a position where he has to guard that free throw line and the angles. We talked about it all night. RJ Godfrey, one of the best at catching on that baseline, wedging himself in there and going up and finishing.
Meanwhile, Ace Talbert at the free throw line because of the unsportsmanlike Class A technical foul called going to break on Buckner. After he ran his point total to 7, Ace did something.
It didn't seem like a whole lot, but you see him turn. He says something. I thought I saw Coach Luther kind of smirk or smile afterwards. It didn't seem like a ton, but it's also one of those things. Score is what it is. Let's make an example, a point of emphasis here. And Coach Brownell will be able to coach that as well.
Clemson with its full court pressure. Ball into the hands of Colin Hawkins.
You also notice Ace is sitting on the bench now.
Yeah, it's a teaching moment.
Absolutely.
Opportunity for Coach Brownell. The Clemson defense has been good so far tonight, forcing 7 turnovers. And they have outscored Gardner-Webb 13-0 off of those turnovers. Another air ball by the Runnin Bulldogs. Nice job by Reek to get after it, but because the shot didn't hit the rim, that is a shot clock violation, so turnover number 8 for the Runnin Bulldogs.
A tough air ball there from Ace Tolbert, but the effort from Gardner-Webb. You got 2 guys diving on the floor, sliding across. You hear all the skin burning. You love to see that. And here they go in this 2-2-1 zone press. A lot of times when teams run this, it's not necessarily to create the turnover like most presses do. It's about controlling the pace of the game. Slows the other team down.
Davison kicks it back out. Hunter had a clean look. Can't track down the long rebound. Talbert gets it blocked. Good hustle by Jake Wallin, the junior from Provo, picks up his first block shot of the night.
That's where Gardner-Webb's at their best, trying to get out and transition there off the long rebound. As you mentioned, Wallin, a great recovery, using that length and athleticism. You see the 3-4-5 spot right now. 6'8", 6'9" to a solid 6'10", 240. Standard for Brad Brownell to have a strong front court that looks like this.
Reek with a terrific look in the backdoor bounce pass. And the easy reverse by Julius Clark.
That's a lot of action to have to guard, chasing around those bigs and ready for the pass. Just a perfect little drop off.
Davison gets it back off the front rim. Porter attacks, hangs in the air, no. Gets his own miss and misses again. Reek with a defensive rebound. Hudson into the lane, crosses over to the right hand for two.
Gardner-Webb doing a good job of putting pressure on Clemson. And I mentioned the size. That's how Gardner-Webb has to combat that, driving and attacking when they have a mismatch.
Wallin feeds the post. Again, big to big, back outside. That's very well done from the big boys to find Davison with a clean look out front.
As far as big to big passing goes, Clemson might be the best in the ACC. They drill it, they focus on it, they have a great connection already, even though these guys are the first time playing together.
Hawkins hangs in the air. Hunter got the defenders in the air, but then missed short. Davison has it poked away. Loose ball on the floor, and it's tied up. On the alternate possession, the ball will go the other way to the Runnin Bulldogs.
Nick Davison seems to find a way to get his hands on almost every offensive rebound opportunity. Does great job of doing his work early, getting the position, kind of watching where that ball comes off the rim.
The soon-to-be 24-year-old from Mission Viejo, California. He is a pretty good surfer, he tells us, with an extra long board, of course. I mean, it's 6'9", 6'10". You can't go on a normal-sized surfboard.
He talked about during COVID, he got loose on the shortboard a little bit, and I asked him, how long is a shortboard? And he's like, well, really, it's like a longboard for average people.
I asked him the last time he was on a surfboard, because in Clemson, South Carolina, there are no waves.
Not a whole lot of surfing.
But he remembered right down to the day back in May before he left California. There's the SoCal surfer missing on the putback attempt, and then the foul called against Gardner-Webb on the rebound.
Sims is one of those guys, if you leave him open at all, it has a great chance of going in. Redshirted last year at Alabama, but even getting the reps with a high-level program like that, he's stepping in looking for a much bigger role here at Gardner-Webb.
Tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern, the ACC Huddle crew will be at UVA in Charlottesville to get you ready for another full day of football with a 2-hour pregame show. They'll have game previews along with expert analysis and featured stories right here on ACCN and the all-new ESPN app. That foul on Jacob Hogarth, his second. He's a sophomore big from Brooklyn, playing for Gardner-Webb. Dirty but good on the second free throw for Nick Davison.
When we asked Coach Luther about the bigs, he said Hogarth has to be great for them.
Peterson off the mark on the triple. Here comes Clemson. Under 4.5 minutes remaining in the first half. Tigers have cooled off a bit. Just one of their last 7. Now make it 1 of 8 after the Davison misfire. Talbert.
Oof, that's 3 on Toll. That is going to be a tough one on Hogarth. 3 there. Didn't seem like a ton of contact, but you can't put yourself in that position. That's the thing. You got to find a way to get off his back there when you know you have 2 fouls. Just 4 minutes left, and you see the entire coaching staff over there for Gardner-Webb saying the same thing.
Young man who played a couple of years of varsity ball at Archbishop Stepinac High School in White Plains, New York, just outside of New York City. And then played at Iona College. And Jake now sits with those 3 personal fouls. 4:10 remaining first half.
Gardner-Webb coming out in the zone here. I think Clemson's done a really good job when they move the basketball and hit that high post. Right on cue with almost all of it. Just bobbled the pass.
Sims goes around Foster, who closed out. And Sims makes him pay. Nice lefty finish.
Offensively, Sims can really hang. Defensively, maybe has some things to work on, but I'm impressed.
Well, he's got 8 points to lead the visitors from Boiling Springs, North Carolina.
Everybody knows when our Tigers score 70 points, it's flow time. All season long, we will need a free blueberry biscuit. And the Blue Jay is that. And the promo code Clemson. Joe's New York Pizza is now available in Little John Coliseum. Visit the concession stands for a fresh, hot chocolate. Sports-oriented training for children with life-altering conditions. They do this all over the country on both professional and collegiate levels. This year, Clemson's dream team selected Jaden Lawrence as their dream recipient. Jaden is 14 years old from Connersville. He was diagnosed with a rare condition called lymphatic malformation, which causes severe abdominal pain that terminates his ability to walk. He endured countless medical tests, many surgeries, and long seasons of physical and emotional hardship. Isolation and uncertainty were incredibly difficult, but Jaden never gave up. Jaden was chosen as a dream-on-dream recipient because of the incredible strength, faith, and determination that he showed through all the ups and downs. As you can see,
November 4th through the 9th is College Sports Communicators Membership Appreciation Week. These valued communicators and creative coordinate public and media relations, websites, social media, graphic design, video, statistics, strategic communications, and much, much more, helping to tell the stories of teams and student athletes at college and university athletic departments. And we have a special tip of the cap tonight for longtime sports information director at Clemson, Tim Beret. That photograph is from tonight. He is being inducted into the Clemson Athletics Hall of Fame. Congratulations to Tim, and most importantly, thank you so much for your decades of service. Now, Tim typically is the radio analyst for Clemson basketball. He's getting the night off. Former Tiger J.D. Powell filling in tonight. But you can bet that Tim Beret is keeping close track. He might even wind up over at Little John if this game goes long enough here tonight.
He's been to a few thousand Clemson games. What's one more on your Hall of Fame night,
exactly. Right? Congratulations, Tim Beret. Just over 3 minutes to go first half. The Tigers have been in control from the start, but have cooled off. 3 on the shot clock. The triple from the corner is drained by Navon Peterson, the graduate from Orlando.
The benefit of no choice, had no option but to shoot that one. Gardner-Webb's doing a good job of mixing up the defense. Come into the zone a few times. Here they're in a man.
Off the butt of Johnson, miss. Runnin Bulldogs back quickly with it. Clemson got off to such a good start shooting the basketball tonight. Now 6 for 16. Reek tries to answer at the other end. Instead, it's Foster dribbling up. Out there with Butta Johnson. This is Hunter for 3. A little strong. Gardner-Webb hanging around with just over 2 minutes remaining in the half.
Clemson's kind of lost their defensive punch. Points in the paint in the last few minutes have been skewed to Gardner-Webb, and they're making shots on the perimeter. Got to find a way to turn the tables if you're Clemson and get the momentum back.
Peterson, no. Foster will dribble up himself. The freshman from Atlanta, 6'4", 190 pounds. Davison draws the second defender, and the foul is called against Reek, I believe, who was already in some foul trouble. Indeed it is on number 7 in black. Coming up on our halftime report, some new ACC head coaches. There are 4 of them. We'll also, of course, recap this first half. And my partner will actually put on a second hat to help us with this halftime report. You're a busy man, Luke.
I am. I put on a second tie for this one. And I'm excited to talk about them, though. That these new coaches have created quite the buzz. I think the most buzz might be with Will Wade, but all of these guys in their exhibitions and preseason have done some amazing things to get these programs jumping again.
We'll get a chance to see Will Wade and his Wolfpack coming up on the ACC network following our game. They will host the UAB Blazers. That was the 3rd foul on Reek, the 6'9" forward from Rochester, Minnesota.
You know, ball pressure right now for Clemson, not quite good enough. They're making these backdoor passes and putting them right on a dime. Not being disruptive enough. And then at the rim, there's not really a presence because they're pulling those bigs outside away from the basket.
Butta Johnson from the baseline. Well, Brad Brownell has built this program over 16 years on defense and toughness. Can this team uphold that as the season goes on?
That is the biggest question mark with this team. I don't know if they can be as potent on the defensive end as they have been in the past. A lot of new pieces. Maybe not the same continuity that he's had in the past, but I'll tell you what, long, athletic, they've got positional size, so I do like what Brad Brownell's doing, even getting in the press there, just trying to kind of wear these Gardner-Webb guys down, especially the guards, use that length and that athleticism.
And there is a learning curve on the defensive end as well, right?
Of course, and especially when you play 10 or 11 guys. Having that many guys on the same page, that's where the real challenge is going to be for Brad Brownell.
About 4-second difference between the two clocks. Godfrey tries to bull his way to the basket. Out to Foster. Around and out. 6 seconds to go in the half as the Runnin Bulldogs look to get up a shot. Hudson lost the handle, throws it up, and the horn sounds. Okay. And let's revisit those keys to the game. What have you seen off of that, Luke?
Well, I thought the defensive execution for Clemson really strong early, kind of faltered a little bit, but they've still been solid. And then Gardner-Webb, you can't give them a huge check with points in the paint, but they did improve through that half quite a bit.
Jake Wallin feeds inside to Godfrey. Swing it into the corner. Porter back out front. Hunter for 3. Around and out and right back in. First 3-point shot made here tonight for Dylan Hunter.
And talk about some incredible ball movement. You throw it inside to RJ. The ball gets reversed. A swing to the corner. Back to the top. That is tough action to guard.
Gardner-Webb out of the Big South Conference. Spence Sims misfires. He leads the Runnin Bulldogs with 8 points so far tonight. Wallin looking to go inside to Davison. Quick step, draws the second defender and pulls it back out. Now they're going to repost the big fella. Cross court skip pass. Nicely done. Executed to Porter for his third made three of the night.
Every one of those threes have been catch and shoot, just spacing, knowing where his teammates want to deliver the basketball, knocking it down.
Good help defense by Godfrey after Davison got beat off the bounce, but then the foul is called.
I'll tell you what, this kind of ball movement, impossible to guard. Long closeout after long closeout. A good to great pass to hit the corner, driving, collapsing the defense, and you get a wide open look.
That was the first foul on R.J. Godfrey, a senior from Sewanee, Georgia, who of course played his first 2 years here at Clemson before going to Athens, Georgia last year. Well, we're looking ahead at our men's basketball doubleheader for next Friday night. Cameron Boozer and 6th-ranked Duke will host the Sycamores of Indiana State, 7 Eastern. Then Caleb Wilson and number 25 North Carolina will host NC Central at the Smith Center. Both games also available on the all-new ESPN app.
Obviously some star-studded freshmen there. We've talked about the freshmen Clemson has, but a resurgence for the league this year I think is partially due to 24 of the top 100 freshmen, ESPN top 100, coming to the league. The newcomers as a whole, the transfer portal guys, the freshmen, really impressive additions kind of across the board for the ACC.
Well, of course, one of the big storylines in the conference the last couple 3 years is that it has been down, relatively speaking. Where do you see it right now starting this year as the league tries to reestablish itself as the dominant college basketball program in the country?
Well, I think you're chasing twice as many bids as you got last year, and there's a couple teams that I think are chasing titles. There's a couple teams, maybe 3 or 4, that should be NCAA tournament teams, and then there's another 4 or 5, and this is where I think the strength of the league is, having a little bit more depth in that middle, teams that could make the NCAA tournament. Nothing crazy has to happen. They just have to be solid to get there, and I think that's what's going to improve the league. Also, I'll give a shout out to Florida State. They were picked at the bottom in terms of the metrics for all the Power 4 plus the Big East, and Luke Louts in the exhibitions, his team played really, really strong. 104 to 108 against a team like Alabama. They've come out and I think impressed people to the point they're certainly not going to be last.
Clemson on a roll, gets the lead back to better than 20. Davison off the Porter miss. Well, Clemson in the preseason poll with all these new faces was picked 7th. Duke 1, Louisville 2, Carolina 3, NC State 4. We'll see the Wolfpack coming up at 9 o'clock here on ACC Network against UAB. And then Virginia, another one of those teams that should, at least the sense is, the Hoos with their new head coach will be able to make a move back up in the standings.
Yeah, I love the pieces to the puzzle there. I'll tell you one thing. If you're evaluating Clemson in the preseason, front court, give a big check mark to. Backcourt maybe had some question marks, and I would love to see the voting if people had known that Ace Buckner was going to go for 18 in his debut. As a freshman to bolster that backcourt, I think they felt good about Justin Porter. You have the continuity piece in the younger Hunter brother, but there's a lot to like in this backcourt with Clemson. Brad Brownell's done a good job, and they're going to keep getting better and better. These guys want to be coached.
And I tell you what, if history means anything, I would not vote against Clemson finishing better than 7th, because almost every year it seems Coach Brownell, his teams exceed expectations from around the ACC. Thompson off the takeaway is fouled, and he'll head to the free throw line. So there you see, in 12 of his first 15 seasons, Coach Brownell has kind of ripped up the preseason poll and said we're better than that.
What do those guys know anyway?
Exactly.
Bunch of basketball talking heads. I think that's a testament to how he does things, the type of players that he brings in. I mean, every year that I've gotten to cover Clemson basketball players, they're always intriguing. They're always well-spoken. They seem like the guys who enjoy playing together, great teammates. And he does it year in and year out. Yeah, I know the word gets used all the time, but the culture is incredibly strong here at Clemson.
Here's another one of the new faces, Chase Thompson, who was Mr. Basketball in the state of Minnesota last year. Also was a standout quarterback at 6'8". I'm guessing he could see over the line pretty well to find his receiver.
6'8", 225 freshman. Yeah, that would have been a dangerous quarterback.
And he's bouncy. He's athletic.
He is very bouncy. He's going to fit great because when they have to play a little bit more small ball, he's a three-man that's so athletic but can still hold his own against some of the bigs in this league.
Godfrey works his way to the bucket, and he'll have a chance for three.
Again, you look at some of the lineups Brad Brownell is able to play. Chase Thompson at the 3 spot, Wallin at the 4, RJ Godfrey at the 5. They're just big, strong, physical front courts. This is a just train you want to get out of the way of with RJ Godfrey coming downhill like that. I know Clark feels like he's not doing much, but you're just out of position. You got really no choice but to foul there.
So now, Luke, you've talked about this. The bigs for Gardner-Webb continue to pile up the fouls, both Jacob Hogarth and Reek with 4 apiece. And
that
so RJ
dangerous.
Godfrey, yes, back at the free throw line. Well, after a cold spell going into the half, Clemson has picked up very well to start the second half, making 4 of its first 6 shots. It's an 8-0 run to build this lead to 59-32, the largest of the night. Off the rejection, Peterson in the right place at the right time.
I guarantee you at halftime, Brad Brownell talked about the bookends. You got to start and end halves well. Sure, he wants a pickup in the defensive intensity here.
Well, Brad Brownell has a birthday coming on November 15th. He turns 57, the winningest coach, of course, in Clemson history. And it's remarkable, his 5 NCAA tournaments, what he's been able to do. And it seems like perpetually on the hot seat. But here he is as the longest tenured head coach in the league and still going strong. He is coming off the best 3-year run in program history.
A few years ago felt like the young buck, and now you're the elder statesman in the league. Looks good for 57 years young, obviously.
Former standout guard at Division III DePaul University in his native Indiana, but he's got that southern drawl going. I think he's here to stay.
That Clemson draw will get anybody.
5 to shoot. Off the crossover, Jacob Hudson draws the foul. And he'll be at the free throw line when we come back. Gardner-Webb hanging on, trying to stay close with Clemson. Back inside Little John Coliseum on a Friday night at Clemson, R.J. Godfrey picking up his second foul before the break. What did he do wrong here?
Well, I want to start with what he did right. So driving like that, you're playing against a guard. You move your feet so well. You're big. You're physical. We call that putting the hand in the cookie jar. When you reach out and try and knock that ball away when you should be straight up and making that guard shoot oversized. Pretty good with about 90%, but you fail the test right there at the end.
So he picks up his second personal foul. He does lead Clemson with 11 points so far. We talked off the top about the fact that he had a really good first game against UNH, 9 points, 9 rebounds. Ace Buckner came off the bench with the 18 points, second most for freshmen in Clemson history in their first game. Well, here is our Week 11 ACC Network Saturday football lineup beginning noon Eastern, fresh off their upset of then number 9 Miami. SMU will take on Boston College, then Syracuse against number 18 Miami, and finally Florida State and Clemson right next door, 7 Eastern. Both teams looking to become bowl eligible with a win. All 3 games also available on the all-new ESPN app.
I'm here for the shakeup with a little college football. And you know it's going to be electric tomorrow. Florida State and Clemson here. An unbelievable venue.
Well, this small college town is extra busy because of the huge football matchup. And of course, the Seminoles and the Tigers aren't having the seasons that they wanted. But they are the 2 biggest football brands, along with Miami, in the ACC. And anytime they get together, it's a really big deal.
We talked about RJ picking up that kind of tough foul on the other end, but one thing he has done really well is drawing fouls. Has drawn 5 fouls and really put the bigs for Gardner-Webb in a bind. You take away your entire physicality when you're dealing with foul trouble and trying to stay on the floor.
Clemson with the basketball has still turned it over just twice so far here tonight. Buckner into the game for the first time here in the half, set up his teammate in the corner, but Hunter missed everything. Peterson keeps the dribble, now hands it off. Curtis Williams, the third, cut off a couple of times, able to get the shot up on the rim, and then the foul on the rebound. There's Curtis Williams III out of Rancho Cucamonga, California. He started his college career at Pepperdine. And Luke, I always wonder how anybody who goes to Pepperdine attends a class.
Or how do you leave Pepperdine?
How do you, right. And that's no offense to Boiling Springs, North Carolina. I'm sure it's beautiful, and Gardner-Webb University has a very nice campus, but it's not Pepperdine.
I'm sure it is really nice, but it's not Pepperdine. R.J. Godfrey there, drawing a 6th foul, by the way. Has continued to rack them up on Gardner-Webb. In this zone offense here, the key is getting that basketball to the high post area. The tough part when you catch it there, if the defense doesn't play, you got to be ready to make a play yourself. If not, looking for RJ on that baseline makes a lot of sense.
Ace Buckner with the drive and dish to Godfrey. Calvert attacks, went around the freshman Thompson, into the corner for 3. It's good. Julius Clark, the junior from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, makes it 61-38. Foster fouled on the shot by Talbert. Will head to the line to shoot 2.
How they're attacking this zone defense here. We talked about getting the ball to that free throw line area. But right there, you get Chase Thompson to step out, set the ball screen. That's really tough to defend when you have the overload. And then we've said this a million times tonight. RJ does a really good job of kind of hiding on that baseline, getting behind the defender.
Zach Foster's first point of the night. And I also liked how Ace Buckner, with the shot clock winding down, didn't force anything.
Drive and get a paint touch, collapse that defense, find an open teammate. By the way, Zach Foster's free throw right there gives everybody who's checked into the game at least 1 point. We've talked about depth for Clemson, how they need to use it. I think Foster's actually put together a good game. Assists, rebounds, defended pretty well. Just hasn't shot it at a high clip.
Yeah, the Tigers have gone 10 deep so far. The scholarship players who haven't come in, Dallas Thomas and Trent Steinauer. And without walk-ons anymore, I guess I don't have to say scholarship players. Everybody on the roster is on an athletic scholarship.
True.
Wide open, Ace for three. He thought that was going in. He was walking back up court.
Really good release right there. All we've heard from coaches as we've kind of prepped for this is how much he has worked on his shot and used that redshirt season.
Maybe a shot clock issue because it's stuck at 25.
Didn't reset correctly on that offensive rebound.
So Brad Brownell led this program to 27 wins a season ago, 18-2 in the ACC, yet only tied for second place. Trying to build on that. And they had the disappointing one and done in the NCAA tournament last year. Kind of tailed off throughout the latter part of the season. Buckner off the front iron.
But how about that? You set the record for wins in the ACC. You finished tied for second. Louisville 18-2, Duke 19-1.
Nobody's going to go 18-2 this year.
That's
because
correct. The 2 less games.
No more 20 conference games. Back down to 18. And there is the first made three of the college career of Chase Thompson. First bucket for the young man out of Alexandria High School in Minnesota.
Mr. Minnesota. Good looking shot there.
He's every bit of 6'8", 225. From Glenwood, Minnesota. Played 18 scoreless minutes Monday. Now he's on the board.
Gardner-Webb exclusively guards those underneath out of bounds with a zone, with a 2-3. It is really tough to match up when you have those swing, quick passes that Brad Brownell has coached into these guys.
Foul number 3 on Ace Buckner. Has Jacob Hudson at the line.
Gardner-Webb back in that 2-2-1, trying to control the pace and slow things down a bit.
Buckner. Wallen gets the defender up in the air and lays it in. Carter Welling now with 9 points off the bench for Clemson.
Gardner-Webb forced to go small ball with all the foul trouble.
Gardner-Webb only 2 of 7 from the floor this half. Strong drive on the baseline, everything but the finish. Here comes Foster. Thompson fills the wing. Buckner attacks the basket for 2.
Not playing like a freshman, just a smooth take there, all the way to the rim with a finger roll. I keep saying it. RJ Godfrey and company just putting so much pressure on the Gardner-Webb bigs. Now they're sitting over there with foul trouble, and there's not that same rim protection.
Talbert. Again, the Runnin Bulldogs able to get to the rim, but not able to finish.
Everything but the finish.
Well, there's the finish, plus the foul for Carter Welling. He had 10 points in Monday's win over New Hampshire. He's got 11 and counting here tonight against Gardner-Webb.
This is the old I'm bigger than you and there is nothing you can do about it. Welling starting to go off here.
2 years ago as a sophomore, RJ Godfrey was a key bench piece on the 2024 Elite 8 team for Clemson, but he wanted to play a bigger role. So last year, it was an emotional decision. He transferred to Georgia, was a starter for the Bulldogs, but he wanted to come home. And upon his return, said of Coach Brownell, his philosophies have shaped me just in life. It's something I took for granted my first 2 years here. You can sense the gratitude and appreciation he has to be able to come back here to Clemson. He got emotional during the national anthem on Monday before the UNH game. He's been emotional talking about Coach Brownell. This is the type of thing we need to talk more about in college basketball, the relationships that people like Coach Brownell have with RJ Godfrey.
You can tell it's special. As soon as I asked Coach Brownell about RJ coming back, he just smiled. Says he's a joy to coach. His teammates absolutely love him. You've seen him, if you follow Clemson men's basketball social media, doing some interviews with the guys and just how much they enjoy being around RJ.
Welling misses the free throw. Well, Godfrey so far, 13 points to lead all scorers, 5 for 5 from the floor, made all 3 of his free throws, has 4 rebounds. Welling's had a big night. He's now missed his last 2 shots after being a perfect 5 for 5 to start the ball game. He's got 11 points. End to end, Hudson, he's fouled by Foster. Well, how do you see this Clemson front court, newly put together in the summer on the fly, stacking up in the ACC, Luke?
The good news is I think they have some depth. They've got great pieces to the puzzle. You know, front courts around this league just incredibly strong. You know, I think about how highly touted Nick Davison is. And then I think about some of the other 4 men that are in this league, the Cam Boozers, the Darion Williams, the Caleb Wilsons, Malik Renew. There are just loaded front courts in this league. But I will tell you, from what I've seen, watching practice, watching shoot around, watching some of these games, I've been really impressed. Welling, RJ Godfrey, Nick Davison, that is a heck of a front court trio.
Foster uses the screen. Porter swings it to Dallas Thomas into the game for the first time. The other redshirt freshman on the roster, along with Ace Buckner. Step back 3. Porter, no. Stepping into the 3 is Hudson. Hogarth tries to put it up against 2 bigger defenders, and he has earned a trip to the free throw line. Well, Gardner-Webb head coach Jeremy Luther told us before the ball game they were not going to try and do anything different in another one of these up games. This is the second of their 6 buy games, as they are called, guarantee type games where they are raising money, all told over $500,000 to help fund the university's athletic department. But he said it's more important that they do what they do for when they get to conference play. They don't want to get out of what the Runnin Bulldogs need to do to win just because they're up against it on the road against an ACC opponent.
Yeah, asking him about maybe changing the strategy, because Minnesota did a good job of pounding the paint and kind of dominating in there. I do like the strategy Coach Luther has here. Hey, we might lose these early games, but our focus is on this conference slate, doing the best we can to go battle it out with the high points and UNC Asheville's of the world.
They lost Monday in their opener at Minnesota. Down big in game 2, but still fighting. Off the takeaway, DJ Jefferson, the former Tennessee Volunteer, with the easy 2, 72-44.
You notice the game has changed. We talked about the front court for Clemson, but when Hogarth got back in, he has been a real presence down there, defending, rebounding the basketball, offensive rebound on the other end, and drawing the foul.
What a job defensively for the block shot and the save by Williams. It turns into 2 quick points at the other end by Hogarth, plus the foul.
Big fella has provided quite the spark here for Gardner-Webb. Defensively, getting out in transition. Got to have a good plan when you go in there amongst the trees. That type of shot fuels the break. You can get out and run. Big fella says, I'll take 2 of those, plus 1 maybe.
Whenever you say trees around here, I think Tree Rollins. One of the all-time greats. 3rd foul on Foster. And able to complete the 3-point play, Jacob Hogarth.
Been in foul trouble all night, but certainly making an impact here.
Inside they go to Godfrey. Working from the mid post. Here comes the second defender. Skip pass to Foster. And an over the back foul going to be called against Curtis Williams III. Well, in the Big South Conference, the expectation is that High Point is the team to beat and that Gardner-Webb is in the second division. But of course, at this time of year, everybody is optimistic. And Coach Luther thinks that they can absolutely outperform that poll.
Has to replace 6 of his top scorers from last year. Trying to get these guys to gel. Again, I love what he said about we're not changing what we do. We're preparing for this conference slate to be able to make a run. Likes the pieces to the puzzle with this team. Has to continue to bring this group together.
Well, they had a 7-0 run until that made free throw by Nick Davison. The Runnin Bulldogs and their nearly 100 fans got a violation on the free throw. About 100 fans made the drive. It's a little under 2 hours, 90 miles from Boiling Springs, North Carolina. An opportunity for an easy drive to come and see their team test itself against one of the big boys.
Maybe a little easier drive than the Minnesota.
Yeah, I would think so. And again, Gardner-Webb is one of 50+ teams in college basketball at the Division I level, and there are over 360 now who did not opt in to paying their players. And so there's a huge discrepancy in terms of talent when you go and play an ACC team. And we'll see coming up if UAB can give NC State a game. A little different story. Andy Kennedy's team historically has been really, really good. Chance Westry, after a couple of long years at Syracuse, following a year at Auburn, 3 straight years dealing with injuries. He had a huge first game for UAB. Can he have that translate on the road in Raleigh? Got that coming up at the top of the hour when we're done. Now Foster's going to take a seat after he commits his 4th foul. I wonder about his defensive learning curve based on what we saw and heard during practice yesterday.
Well, first thing I'll say about Mr. Foster, he has the tools. Long, athletic. The way he moves out there, he just does not look like a freshman. And again, he gets coached hard by Coach Brownell. I love his response, looking coach in the eyes, taking that tough coaching, and that's what's going to make him successful.
Davison with a chance for 3. The Tigers continue to fight with 8.5 minutes remaining.
Big to big passing again. Just these guys seem to just be on the same page, almost eyes in the back of their head, knowing where each other are. And the fouls drawn between those two. Really, really impressive job. Nick Davison, we said it before, a thinker, was a statistics minor. And I thought his story about how he decided to come to Clemson, how he used his statistics background was so unique. You know, this is the era of NIL. And we hear so often that's why kids choose to go where they go. But with him, using that statistics background, put all the variables of power forward usage across the country into a model and color-coded that model, green, yellow, red, to help him decide where he was going to go. Said he got to about 50 schools initially, crossed 8 off the list immediately because they didn't fit in the model, and then started to work from there.
And with that in mind, when his basketball playing days are done, Nick Davison told us he plans to go to law school. We also promised him last night that we'd say hello to his mom, Kelly, watching out in Mission Viejo, California. She's a 2nd grade teacher. She has 3 sons playing Division I college basketball, including 2 here on the Clemson roster. Nick's younger brother, Blake, was kind of a package deal, who originally committed to Nevada, but when his older brother, Nick, decided he was going to leave Nevada, the 2 of them came here to Clemson together.
And Kelly's obviously done a great job. Middle brother had quite the debut with Northern Arizona. When I asked Nick about his middle brother, he said, yeah, but we got the win.
Yeah. Well, the middle brother is Zach, who scored 29 points in a loss to Drake in their opener for Northern Arizona. He transferred after playing at Montana, played in the tournament last year. So there is a sibling rivalry for sure, all 3 making their way. Hawkins keeps the dribble, tries to muscle his way in and draws the foul on Dylan Hunter, who picked up a couple of early fouls. That is his third, and we head to break with 7:25 remaining in regulation. Coming up at the top of the hour here on the ACC Network, preseason Conference Player of the Year, Darion Williams and the Wolfpack will take on UAB. Williams put 24 points on the board in 19 minutes against North Carolina Central in their 114-66 blowout to begin the season. What will he do in game number 2? By the way, his former Nevada teammate Nick Davison having himself a good game here for Clemson. For play-by-play announcers now, it's a full-time job to keep track of where all the players have been in their college journeys.
And if you can connect all those dots, you're going to be at the top of this thing, buddy, because it is, like you said, a full-time job. My prep used to be a lot different when you had 3 new guys on a team. Now you got 3 returners on most teams.
No doubt. Buckner steps into the 3. Reek hands it off. Spence Sims coughed it up. Godfrey, it's a 3-on-1 for Clemson to the rim. Jake Wallin throws it down. 6 points for the junior out of Timpview High School in Utah.
Nick Davison just kind of stepped back there and said, all right, you take this one. But there were a couple Tigers in the vicinity there that could have gone up and got that.
Buckner calling for the foul. He wants the offensive call against Clark.
That's a really tough call there. I mean, they're picking up the defense. They're getting out in transition. You see the lob there, but...
And so instead, Ace Buckner has 4 fouls. He's got 9 points. 7 came in the first half. Julius Clark with the free throw. Got a second one coming.
Yeah, I mean, you see Buckner in position, handles the first bump. I think there's a hook there. I think there's a couple offensive fouls. That's just, that's a tough one you got to live with. Tough 4th foul to pick up there. They don't get them all right. That's okay.
They're pretty good, though.
They are pretty good.
Clark 1 out of 2. He's got 9 points for Gardner-Webb. Trying to find Godfrey inside, being fronted defensively by Julius Clark. Instead, they attack from the right side. Nick Davison off the nice feed. That's 18 points for the 6'10" redshirt senior.
Dylan Hunter absolutely hounding the ball handler. It's tough to start your offense. See how far away Gardner-Webb has to get the action started.
Buckner got a hand on that pass, deflected out of bounds. Gardner-Webb will keep with 6 on the shot clock. Well, Nick Davidson also told us yesterday he is a member of the law club here on the Clemson campus. He is very serious about following his passion for the law once his days playing ball are done. 2 to shoot. Sims, no. Soaring for the rebound is Dylan Hunter at 6'3½. Got up there above the rim. Buckner picks his way to the bucket and lays it in. Does he have a little old school to his game?
He does. He's just always in control. He's such a strong guy. I mean, you see freshmen and you think, man, he does not look like a freshman. Really spent the redshirt year working. It can be so valuable for guys who go about it the right way. Rehabbing from the injury, yes, but you can tell he's been in the weight room. He's been working on the shot. Everybody has mentioned to us the confidence that he has in his game.
Knocked out of bounds. Well, during your playing days, Luke, at George Mason in Louisville, you had surgery on both of your shoulders, so you have a sense of what Ace Buckner's been going through.
It takes a long time to feel confident, especially shooting the basketball. Even when I came back from my injury my junior year, I started the season 3 for 31. I've told this story a couple times, but when I used to make shots in the Yum Center, they would do this thing where they would go, Luke. And when I was 3 for 31, it was boo. It was get him off the floor. Buckner's done a much better job with his rehab and being ready to roll.
Well, I think you, it's safe to say, eventually won them over.
It did end up pretty well.
Especially in Atlanta for a couple of days. The 2013 most outstanding player at the Final Four coming off the bench. The first reserve to win that award to help lead Louisville to its 3rd national championship. So when you talk about shooting form, my partner knows a thing or two. 84-48, Clemson keeping its foot on the gas pedal as Curtis Williams is fouled out, the first to be disqualified for the Runnin Bulldogs tonight. The ACC Fall Championships continue Sunday with the men's soccer quarterfinals starting at 2 Eastern. Those are all at the higher seeded teams' campus stadiums. Each match right here on ACCN and the all-new ESPN app. Thompson with a high arcing free throw gets 1 out of 2.
Clemson's continuing that pressure. You can tell they got some things to work on defensively. Zach Foster, I'm telling you, he can be a menace. They're going to go back and watch a lot of film here, figure out where he can improve, but the ceiling is very high for that young man.
Hunter, Thompson, Foster, Wallin around the perimeter. Welling the big, and a nice finish off the bounce for the senior out of Sunrise Christian Academy. Hunter gives it back to Foster. No look inside for the easy flush. Carter Welling continuing his big night at the offensive end.
Chase Thompson will get a little grief from the guys for missing that one. That was a great read by Foster to get in there and get that steal.
Well, you know what it's like as Spence Sims hits the three amongst teammates, especially when you're up big and having fun. I love the fact after the Monday win over New Hampshire, Zach Foster, who had missed a dunk during the game, he blamed it apparently on lactic acid in his legs. Come on, man.
I guess you got to come up with something. It was never my fault either. Carter Welling, the guy dunks everything around the rim.
Well, look who is here. We speculated that on the night he is inducted into the Clemson Athletics Hall of Fame, Tim Beret would make his way to Little John, and he is a celebrity for sure. Yeah, put the headset on him. Voice of the Clemson Tigers, Don Munson. He is normally, Tim is, his partner, but filling in J.D. Powell, while the Hall of Famer Tim Beret enjoys a special night here at Little John.
Hanging out with his wife Kay up there and just enjoying, like you said, a Hall of Fame night. That's special.
Just over 3 minutes remaining in this second game of the season. Clemson narrowing in on its second win of the year. We talked about the balance of this team coming in and what the expectation is. Brad Brownell's not gone as deep into his bench tonight. Dallas Thomas didn't play in the first half. Trent Steinauer has yet to check into the game, but still a lot of pieces for Coach Brownell as they try to get themselves ready for ACC play.
And get themselves ready for what's coming in the non-conference slate.
Actually, you're right. They've got a trip to the Charleston Classic, and then it really gets tough in December.
The warm-up before December, and then you got the SEC Challenge, you got BYU, you got South Carolina, you got Cincy. It is going to be loaded up in December.
Yeah, their matchup is with Alabama in Tuscaloosa in the ACC SEC Challenge. That'll be a game 7:15 on December the 3rd on ESPNU. Hogarth left it short. Welling with another rebound. Well, I was so impressed during practice yesterday. The scout team that has been put together by Brad Brownell, which is led by one of the all-time great point guards in college basketball history. Cam Langley is 15th all-time with over 900 career assists from his days at North Carolina A&T. How valuable is it to have a young man like him who can run the other team's offense?
I got to tell you, nowadays, managers are used even more in the up and down in practice. Like, we press the whole time. Managers wouldn't help us if we pressed them. Well, if you have a guy like Cam Langley, he can help you because he can handle that pressure. And he was really impressive in practice as a passer, obviously, but really helped prepare Clemson for this game. Both him and Big Carlos, who can guard the bigs inside with the best of them. Reminds me of DJ Burns, maybe not with the same left-handed touch, but he's that same kind of physicality in the paint, helping to get these guys ready to go.
Well, Cam Langley just 6 years ago at NCAA led the country with 8 assists per game. So he is valuable. And of course, we know ACC legends Bobby Hurley from Duke and Chris Corchiani at NC State are 1 and 2 career all-time in assists. Again, the manager scout team point guard for Clemson, Cam Langley, is 15th all-time.
That's not a bad guy to have as a manager running around in practice for you. You think Hurley's record stands after this year?
Yeah, that's a good point. It may not, and especially with the expanded eligibility that we see now in college basketball. You get more than 4 years. Thompson blocks the first. Nice job by Hudson to stick with it.
I think Mr. Smith at Purdue is going to do everything he can to track that down.
Is he the best point guard in the country?
I think so. It'd be tough to go against him. There's certainly other point guards that you would say are really strong, but he's been an All-American. He's won so much at Purdue. I think he's where you start when you're building your first-team All-American list.
Yeah, it's a heck of a body of work. How about Dallas Thomas with his first college 3?
Said, I need some more minutes, coach. Put me in a game.
Also good to see number 44, Trent Steinauer, getting an opportunity to play in the final couple of minutes.
I want to give a shout out to DT there, Dallas Thomas, because in today's day and age, guys don't necessarily redshirt, wait their time, stay at a school, and be ready for an opportunity. Everything these coaches have told us, it's been Ace and Dallas in the gym non-stop, getting up shots, working on their bodies. And you got to come in the game no matter when it is, ready to fill your role. Seen him make a lot of shots in the last couple days.
Yeah, he was a top 100 recruit coming out of Parkview Magnet High School in Little Rock, where he played for Scotty Thurman. And again, who sits and works on his game the way college basketball is now? That man has.
Impressive. And I was never good at sitting down for a long time and then coming in the game and just being ready to go. That's impressive. The freshman just stepping in, ready to shoot the basketball. Let's see if they get him another look here.
Well, other than Steinauer, every Clemson player on the active roster has scored tonight. Thomas goes right at the bucket. He's now got 5. And the leader has been Carter Welling, his 4th career double-double, 14 points, 11 rebounds. In his 3rd stop in 3 years after UC Irvine and Utah Valley, another one of the pieces for Coach Brownell's Tigers.
Really strong, didn't play a ton of minutes to put up those numbers. Again, the front court for Clemson shows out.